So, after all this wondering about what's going to be on UFC 300, we got 3 new matchups announced for UFC 300, plus some other fight news as well. UFC 299, Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa got booked for a third time, I believe. They were supposed to fight in 2021, then again earlier this year. They're going to try again next year in the next 4 months. We'll see if Paulo actually makes a walk for once. And then Erin Blanchfield versus Manon and Rob, UFC Atlantic City. I'm going to talk about all of those. But let's start with UFC 300. Wow, what the hell? So Dana White said UFC 300 is going to be so big that the first fight of the prelims, you're not even going to be able to believe that it's the first fight of the prelims. And it's been rumored that Bo Nickel is going to be he's going to kick off UFC 300. So in this order, from Bo Nickel, Sterling Cater, and Prohaska versus Rakic, does that mean these are going to be the first 3 fights of UFC 300? If that's the case, that's insane. And I wonder what else Dana's cooking up for this card, or if it's just Bo who's the early prelims. Sterling Cater, that's main card material, especially Yuri Prohaska versus Alexander Rakic. As you all know, originally Rakic was supposed to fight Jan in January, but I think the universe kind of played a game of shuffle and was like, we've already seen Rakic fight Jan. Yeah, it would be a good rematch, but it's kind of risque because we don't want to have the possibility of Rakic being killed off twice in a row by old man Jan. Might as well have him fight a young buck like Yuri coming off a title loss. That fight's going to be an absolute banger. I think that prediction-wise, right now I'm kind of leaning towards Yuri. Both guys haven't been the most active as it is already. Both guys fight once each year. Yuri's never fought twice a year in his entire UFC career, and he's never fought twice in 4 months in his entire UFC career. It's always been fight once a year due to circumstances out of his control, waiting for opponents, fight cancellations, fights being rescheduled, him getting injured. But now, by the grace of God, hopefully he makes it to April 13th against Rakic. That fight has fight of the night written all over it. But I think Yuri's just going to win. I just think he has more output. He's more aggressive. Rakic, his passive style just might play into the forward pressure, aggressive style of Yuri. I think Yuri's got a power advantage, more of a finishing ability. Rakic he's boring, and he doesn't really finish fights. Now, he does have the leg kicks, which we did see. That was troubling for Yuri against Pereira with Poatan, so maybe that could be a path to victory. And Yuri can be a bit reckless sometimes, and Rakic is actually dangerous off the back foot with counters. So it's possible he could catch Yuri coming in, but I do believe Yuri's going to learn his lessons from that Pereira fight, not to be overzealous, to tighten up that defense. Either way, it's going to be a good fight, but right now I got to lead my boy Yuri. Aljamain Sterling, Calvin Kattar. I think Cater's probably going to win. It's probably better for the division if Aljo wins because he's a big name, former champion. And him maybe advancing forward to fight for the belt at 145 would just be more interesting. But I've always said that the style of Aljamain just wouldn't fit well in the featherweight division like it would bantamweight. He's not going to have a huge size advantage up in the featherweight division like he did in the bantamweight division. So it's going to be hard for him to impose his grappling heavy game. Cater's got pretty good takedown defense, and if he can't get Kattar down, it's going to be a long night. I could see Kattar piecing him up. But I don't mind Aljo winning. And then Bo Nickel's fighting Brundage. Bo Nickel's going to win. This opponent is literally put there for Bo Nickel to look good, and he's going to look good. But that's UFC 300. And then soon they're going to announce Grasso versus somebody, whether it be Weili or maybe Valentina. Because speaking of, let's get to it now. Let's go to the UFC's page. Gotta refresh Instagram right now. Okay, there we go. So look at this. So UFC 300, I just talked about that. I'm gonna get to this one in a second, but Erin Blanchfield versus Manon and got added to UFC Atlantic City. That's where Erin Blanchfield was hoping to fight. She wanted to headline this card. I don't know if it's gonna be a main event, but they're gonna fight. Manon and Blanchfield, #1 contender matchup. I guess this confirms the trilogy is next between Val and Grasso. And I guess that also means that Grasso versus Shevchenko 2, if both are ready for UFC 300, Grasso's ready, we might see one of the biggest WMMA trilogies and the first ever WMMA trilogy on UFC 300, co-main to Connor versus Chandler, if that fight's going to be booked. I'm seeing a comment saying Weili Grasso confirmed, but that person might be capping. I'm not going to do a prediction for Blanchfield versus Firo just yet. I need to do some thinking, but I'm glad that we got some movement in the women's flyweight division. And then Robert Whittaker versus Boachinia is... Why is Paulo Costa saying, Anaheim, I'll see you? Oh, because I thought it was UFC 299. Never mind. Why did I think 299? Because that's where Robert Whittaker wanted to fight, but Whittaker versus Costa, UFC 298, and this time, I mean, Paulo, it seems like he wants to show up and that he will show up, and he's not playing games this time. He better show up. I want him to show up. I thought they were going to do Chimaev versus Costa rescheduled, but I guess not. They're going to go with this fight. Robert Whittaker coming off a loss to Duplessis. We'll see how he bounces back from that one. I do think this should be a winnable fight for Robert, but you never know. Paulo Costa is dangerous. He does pack heavy power. Robert has proven to be pretty chinny, but on a skill level, there's a huge gap. Robert's a way better striker, way faster. He's got a good jab. Costa's open to that jab. So Robert should dance around him and win a comfortable decision. But a Costa upset wouldn't surprise me, but some crazy fight announcements. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section about all of these. Like and subscribe, and peace out.